Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. So we're going to go with a sound quality shootout today. This one's probably been a long time coming, and when it initially came out, let me back up a little bit. When the Marvin Gaye What's Going On One Step initially came out, I really didn't have, I had a crappy early pressing of it, but I didn't really have a good copy to really do a true good test of it. But then, a few months ago, I actually got the some other options that we'll go over right now, or I should say one other option, and let's go over that right now and talk about it actually. So I'm going to do a shootout with two of the versions, which are probably considered two of the better sounding versions out there. So the first one up is one that was released last year, end of last year. It was cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent. They say it was direct from the analog master tapes. And the one other thing that's really cool about this is it's a 2-record set. It actually includes a bunch of other stuff on it. It's got some remixes, it's got some demos, and other really cool thing is the last side 4, has the mono single mixes of the singles that came out off of the album, which I think is really cool. So, and then obviously, which I've already mentioned and told you about, was the one step. So I've got number 418 of this one. And as we now know from pretty much from the last few weeks, I should say, is that this one was taken from the original master tape, but it was transferred to DSD to cut to lacquers. So basically what I usually do on these is I will pick a couple of songs that I think best represent the album in terms of what I should expect for sound and sound quality, and where I can pick up all the different nuances and things like that. And what I found is this. Both are amazing sounding records, and I would say they're really, really, really close. I would say the biggest differences that I've picked out is that, in my opinion, the Mobile Fidelity one seems to have a tighter bass to it, more accurate bass. The bass is still there. There's still plenty of it on the Kevin Gray one, but I just felt that it just seemed to just be tighter on the Mobile Fidelity one step. And then also the Kevin Gray cut seems to have, I don't know, in my opinion, is probably a little bit more mid-range than I would like. It seems to me when I was listening to it through my system that it kind of came across as a little bit more muffled or veiled, very minor. Let me say that it's very subtle, but that's the thing that I kind of felt about it. Some people will probably prefer that, and I thought that all the other levels were probably pretty similar. The one step may have seemed like it had more treble, but I think that's just because there was less mid-range on it than on the Kevin Gray cut. So a couple of other things to consider on these releases, though, is number one, the one step does kind of mess with the flow of the album, because it kind of sort of cuts off and then fades out, and then on one side, then fades back in on this other side. I think it's from sides 1 and 2 on this, because it's a 45 RPM, so it splits up the entire album that was normally on 2 sides to 4 sides. So that's one thing to consider. This is one of those ones where, maybe not such a great idea to have it on a 45 RPM because of that. So there's that part of it. And then the other part that I've experienced, and I know several other people that have experienced, this is probably a handful of stereo records that I own that I get some sibilance on. I think I can count the number of records I own that I get sibilance on my system in stereo. And this is one of them. And this is the only one step that I've had that had that. And it was pretty much just on the title track, What's Going On. And part of that, I think, is also because, it was definitely recorded or mixed differently than the rest of the album. It was clear that, this was the track that was going to be going out there for radio, and it kind of had more of a feel of that, a little bit more, I don't want to say energy, but it just had a different sound to it. It wasn't dramatically different, but it's noticeable. So, and I really didn't have that experience with any of the other tracks on the album on the one step, but I did have it on What's Going On, which was a little disappointing. So, so that's kind of it. I would say if you're basing it on clarity of sound and, just overall sound quality, I guess you could give the edge to the one step in one sense, but then in the other sense, it's got the sibilance, so it's kind of tough. You definitely can't go wrong with the Kevin Gray cut, though, and it's got some great extras on it. Obviously going to be a lot cheaper, too, so, I think you'd be happy, really happy with that copy, and I think that it's hard to justify the extra cost on the mobile one-step on this one. But in my opinion, except for the sibilance issue, it's definitely the better sounding record. But I would not say it's night and day, and because it's not. It's relatively subtle, and it's mainly in the bass, and then a little bit less mid-range than the Kevin Gray. But maybe you'll like that little bit more mid-range on the Kevin Gray one. Like I said, either way, they both have great sound stage. I thought that there was a possibility that the one step had maybe a little bit wider soundstage, but if it's wider, it's not by much. It's very subtle. But anyway, that's kind of my take. I would say that, if you can grab the Kevin Gray cut, I think they're still readily available, but I'm not sure. It's definitely a great one to go with. It's got a high quality jacket. It's a thick cardboard stock. Oh, one other thing too, the one step is quieter in terms of the pressing. So that is the other big upside to it. If, quiet vinyl is something that's important to you, it's definitely a quieter copy. I wish that they would have used maybe a better quality vinyl or maybe a better pressing of the Kevin Gray one, but it's not terrible by any stretch. It's definitely doesn't detract all that much from the album. So quieter, tighter bass, a little bit less mid-range on the Mobile Fidelity, and then you also obviously get the breakup of the kind of the suite, if you will, of tracks that you get on it as well. And then the Kevin Gray one still sounds great, and you get the extra bonus tracks, including the singles, mono single mixes, which is really cool. More music for less money, and still really good sounding. So that's what you got there. I'd love to hear your take. Do you have both copies? What do you feel is the better version in your ears? Love to hear what you have to say. If you liked what you saw here, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of my videos, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to know when my new videos come out, hit that alert bell. Also, check me out on social media. I got a True Audiophiles Facebook group, and I'm also on Instagram and Twitter as well. So check me out there. The information for those, the links are in the description. So check those out as well. So that's everything I've got for this week. It's a little bit of a short one, but hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great day. Thank you very much.